Imagine walking into a home with 8 perfectly symmetrical sides, or stepping through the door of a house made entirely of glossy, enameled steel panels that look like they belong in a 1950s diner. These aren't futuristic concepts. They're real homes Americans once lived in. But over time, they've quietly disappeared from our neighborhoods. Here are 10 forgotten home styles that architects just don't build anymore. Before the Civil War, an eccentric phrenologist named Orson Squire Fowler had a radical idea. Why do we always build boxes? He argued that octagonal homes were nature's perfect shape. They captured more sunlight, improved airflow, and gave you 20% more interior space using the same amount of wall material. These 8-sided curiosities sprouted cupolas on their flat roofs, wrapped themselves in verandas, and collected rainwater like giant cisterns. Fowler himself built such an extravagant version, locals mockingly called it Fowler's Folly, that it sat abandoned and was eventually torn down in 1897. But a few survivors remain, like the hauntingly beautiful Longwood Mansion in Mississippi, frozen in time with its unfinished interiors. Imagine a house that refused to be boring. Between 1880 and 1910, Queen Anne architecture turned American streets into fairy tale villages. These weren't the stuffy British manors. They were playful, asymmetrical confections covered in patterned shingles, wrapped in welcoming porches, and topped with towers that served no purpose except delight. The most photographed of them all, the Carson Mansion in California, still looks like it could be the setting for a Gothic novel. But by 1900, America's taste shifted toward simpler colonial revival styles, and these whimsical wooden wonders stopped appearing in builders' catalogs. Walk through older Midwestern neighborhoods and you'll spot them. Sturdy 2.5-story boxes with big front porches and central dormers peeking from hipped roofs. The American Foursquare was the sensible shoe of architecture, a reaction against Victorian fussiness. From the 1890s through the 1930s, these prairie boxes offered maximum living space on modest city lots. Companies like Sears shipped them as mail-order kits. Choose your model, and boxcars would arrive with pre-cut lumber and instructions. They borrowed built-in cabinetry from the Craftsman movement and clean lines from Frank Lloyd Wright's Prairie style, creating something uniquely democratic. Good design for ordinary people. In California, a different philosophy took root. The American Craftsman movement rejected mass production entirely. Inspired by England's arts and crafts movement, architects like Green and Green built homes that celebrated the materials themselves. Exposed beams, hand-hammered copper hardware, built-in furniture that became part of the house's bones. The Gamble House in Pasadena remains their masterpiece, every joint and shingle telling a story of human hands at work. Gustav Stickley spread the gospel through his magazine, making handcrafted living accessible to the middle class. By the 1930s, though, streamlined modernity had won, and these warm, honest homes faded from fashion. In the sticky heat of the American South, a different logic prevailed. Shotgun houses, narrow as hallways, deep as garden plots, lined the streets of New Orleans and spread throughout the region. Their name, supposedly, came from the idea that you could fire a shotgun through the front door and the pellets would fly straight out the back, passing through each room in perfect alignment. Haitian and West African influences traveled to Louisiana, birthing this efficient design that packed families into growing cities while catching every breeze. In Tupelo, Mississippi, a tiny shotgun house still stands where a boy named Elvis Presley drew his first breath. Many others fell to urban renewal, though some have found new life through restoration. When wealthy Americans dreamed of old-world charm in the 1920s and 30s, they built Tudor revival homes. Steep-roofed fantasies of half-timbered English cottages transported to suburban streets. Westchester County and New Jersey towns filled with these storybook houses, their tall brick chimneys promising cozy fires, and their decorative timber suggesting centuries of history. After World War II, though, Americans wanted efficient modernity, not drafty medievalism. By the 1970s and 80s, builders slapped synthetic half-timbering on suburban boxes, the look without the soul, and the genuine article became a relic. Dutch colonial revival homes wear their gambrel roofs like spreading wings, offering more upstairs space than their simple footprints would suggest. Inspired by 17th century settlers in New York and Pennsylvania, this style swept through northeastern suburbs in the early 1900s. Its symmetrical facades and welcoming dormers promising solid, respectable family life. One of them, at 112 Ocean Avenue in Amityville, New York, became famous for all the wrong reasons. The Amityville Horror turned this unassuming Dutch colonial into an icon of cinematic terror. But most quietly sheltered generations, their gambrel roofs a familiar sight, until builders moved on to newer styles. Carl Strandlund had a vision in 1948. Homes that would never rot, never need painting, never decay. His Lustron homes arrived as kits containing over 3,000 porcelain-enameled steel panels. Walls, ceilings, even the occasional built-in combination washer-dishwasher. They looked like the future, shiny and indestructible. Veterans returning from war needed housing desperately, and Strandlund promised to build tens of thousands. But government loans tangled, production faltered, and by 1950 the company collapsed. Still, over 2,000 of these steel-time capsules survive, some even shipped to Venezuelan oil workers, their magnetic walls still holding family photos in kitchens that gleam like vintage appliances. 9 out of 10 new homes built in 1950s America were ranches, but some were more equal than others. The atomic ranch took the humble single-story form and shot it into the space age. Clear story windows, washing interiors with light. Glass walls dissolving boundaries between inside and out. Butterfly roofs tilting toward the sky. Joseph Eichler built entire California neighborhoods of these futuristic homes, their bold colors and open plans promising a new way of living. Today, Eichler homes command devoted followings and premium prices, their mid-century modern bones more desirable than ever. Finally, Brutalism arrived, and the name says everything. Inspired by Le Corbusier's raw concrete visions, these homes rejected comfort for honesty, decoration for pure form. Throughout the 1960s and 70s, brutalist houses rose from their sites like geometric sculptures, their massive concrete forms unapologetically permanent. The style's French name, béton brut, means raw concrete. Nothing hidden, nothing disguised. But people couldn't love these cold, honest boxes. Associated with urban decay and institutional coldness, they fell out of favor by the late 70s. Today, preservationists fight to save them, seeing beauty in their uncompromising strength. So here's the question. If one of these forgotten styles could rise again, if you could wake up tomorrow in an Octagon, a steel-paneled Lustron, or a concrete brutalist dream, which would it be? Drop a comment and tell us what forgotten home deserves a second chance.